Hello students, I am V. Ellen Swarupini, lecturer from Sri Venkateswara College of Arts and Sciences, which is affiliated to Adikavi Nannaya University, Rajahmundry. Now I would like to discuss about 3rd BSc Biotechnology 5th semester 5B paper, that is Gene Expression and Recombinant DNA Technology. From this paper, I would like to discuss about the vectors topic from unit 4. Here, if you see vectors, these are cloning vehicles. We call them as simply cloning vehicles, and these are helpful in the transfer of gene of interest to a target cell. That's why, as these are helpful in the transportation process, we call them as cloning vehicles. Okay, these are nothing but small fragment of DNA molecules which will helpful in the transport of gene of interest. Use vectors, different types of vectors like plasmids, cosmids, bacteriophage vectors, lambda vectors. In this manner, we'll use different types of vectors for gene cloning. That means a gene of interest is taken from any organism and that is cloned into a vector and it is transported to a new organism. Okay, so for this purpose we use these vectors. Okay, we simply call these vectors as cloning vehicles. Okay, cloning vehicles or cloning vectors, cloning vehicles or DNA carriers. So these are different names we call these with which we call these vectors. Okay, and if we see the definition of vectors, this is the DNA that carries the desired gene to the host cell is called gene cloning vector. Here it is nothing but a DNA. Okay, vector is also a fragment of DNA and it will carry a gene of interest or desired gene along with that vector into a host cell or a target cell. Okay, and we can also call this gene cloning vectors as cloning vectors, cloning vehicles or carrier DNA. So anything is the same, cloning vector or cloning vehicle or carrier DNA, anything is the same. Okay, and this particular vectors are very helpful in the genetic engineering. Why? Because these are involved in the transfer of desired genes. Okay, desired gene can be easily transferred to the host cell with the help of these vectors. Okay, in genetic engineering means nothing but and this particular genetic engineering will see modifications. Okay, modifications related to genes. That means we develop a new gene with the help of gene of interest and we introduce that new gene or desired gene into the new host. So these are the aspects that are related to genetic engineering. Okay, here genetic engineering involves transfer of desired genes to a host cell that has to be manipulated. Okay, that means we are here manipulating. Manipulation means we are changing that particular gene in the organism by adding one gene of interest. Okay, so this is the major purpose of these vectors. Okay, and most used vectors are plasmids, cosmids, phase vectors, shuttle vectors and lambda vectors. Okay, so in our syllabus we have only plasmids, cosmids, bacteriophage vectors and shuttle vectors. Okay, we'll see about these three kinds of vectors. Okay, so here you should remember one point. Though these are vectors, that means plasmids, cosmids, bacteriophage vectors, shuttle vectors. Okay, these four are different types of vectors. Okay, and these vectors are also genetic material itself. These vectors are also genetic material, nothing but DNA itself. These are also made up of DNA. So now let's see firstly about plasmids. Okay, so these plasmids are small circular double-stranded DNA molecules. Okay, these are nothing but small circular double-stranded. That means if you see the structure of plasmid, there will be it is just like a two circles, double-stranded. Okay, these are, if you take a rope, if you take a small rope and keep it in a circular way, so in that if you keep that rope in a circular way, whatever you see, in that manner only these plasmids will be present. Okay, and these are also DNA molecules, and these are extracted from bacterial cells. These will be these are separated or extracted from bacterial cells. Okay, so here if you see the definition of plasmids, plasmids are small circular double-stranded extracellular DNA molecule present in bacterial cell. So whatever the plasmids which are present in bacteria, we are isolating these plasmids from bacterial cell and removing a small portion. Okay, we'll remove a small portion from the plasmid, and in that place will add a gene of interest or a desired gene. Okay, so this is then this modified plasmid with desired gene will be transformed to a target cell or to the host cell. Okay, so these plasmids are small circular double-stranded extra chromosomal DNA molecule present in the bacterial cell. Okay, and if you see its size, it is around 1 to 200 kb in length. Okay, if you see its size, it is 1 to 200 kb, and it have limited number of genes. Okay, plasmids will have, that means this plasmid when expressed, it will have very less number of genes. Okay, as this is a small circular double-stranded DNA, it carries only less number of genes, only few genes. Okay, so coming to bacteria will have one copy of plasmid. Okay, and bacteria contains more than one copy of plasmid, and number of copies of plasmid present in a cell is called copy number. Okay, it is called as copy number. Copy number of bacteria means it is number of plasmids present in the bacteria is represented with copy number. Okay, here number of plasmids present in a cell is represented with copy number. Okay, and copy number which is increased by treating the bacterial culture with chlorophenicol. Here when we treat this particular bacteria with chlorophenicol, what will happen? Copy number will be increased. That means here copy number is increasing, means here number of copies of plasmids will be increased. Okay, so by treating this bacteria with chlorophenicol, plasmids will be increased, number of copies of plasmids will be increased, and thus increasing the copy number. Okay, so this is about copy number of bacteria related to plasmids. Okay, and if you see characteristics of plasmids, it consists of different characters like size, copy number, genetic markers. Okay, these are the few important characteristics of plasmids. Now let's see those characteristics of plasmids in detail. Okay, first character is size. Here if you see about the size, as discussed before, these plasmids are small in size. Okay, small, these are small circular double-stranded extra chromosomal DNA molecules. So these plasmids must be always small in size. Okay, so plasmids are always small in size, and small size, what is the purpose or advantage of the small size is it can be easily uptaken. It can be easily uptaken by the host cell. Okay, if it is a small molecule, absorption or movement of this plasmid into the host cell will be easy. Okay, or if it is a larger and complex molecule, what will happen? This host cell will take much time to uptake this vector. Okay, that's why plasmids are small in size, and we choose these plasmids whenever we require transfer of a small amount of desired gene. This plasmid is probably selected. Okay, and here the small size is helpful for easy uptake of chimeric DNA by host cells, and for the isolation of plasmid without damage. So this particular plasmid size is not only advantageous for uptake of the plasmid or plasmid DNA into the host cell, it also provides easy isolation. So first of all, for transferring this desired gene or desired fragment of DNA, firstly we should isolate the plasmid from bacterial cell. Okay, we should isolate suitable plasmid from the bacteria, and for this isolation purpose also smaller plasmids, as is plasmids are smaller in size, we can easily isolate the plasmid from bacteria, and whatever the plasmid that we have isolated, it can be easily we can easily add our desired DNA fragment to the plasmid, and it can be easily transferred to host cell, and host cell will easily uptake that particular DNA. So this is the advantages related to the characteristics of the plasmid size. Okay, so now let's see the second character, that is copy number. Okay, so here copy number means it is the number of copies of a plasmid present in a bacterial cell is called as copy number. So Here number of copies of plasmids, okay, in a particular bacterial cell is mentioned with copy number, okay. And here the plasmid must be present in multiple copies, okay. Plasmid must be in multiple copies, that is the major characteristics of plasmid, okay. It is always present in multiple copies. It is also an important characteristic of this particular plasmid vectors, okay. And if you come to the third character, it is genetic markers. It is genetic markers. And if you see about these genetic markers along with size and copy number, this genetic marker is also a very important characteristic of the plasmid. So coming to these genetic markers, these are nothing but origin of replication or regulatory regions. These are the few markers present on the plasmid, okay. So what is the purpose of this genetic markers? These will help in the replication purpose of that particular DNA, okay. So to start replication, origin of replication is necessary and regulation of that particular replication process is also necessary. So genetic markers or genes responsible for the replication origin and also for regulation of that particular replication should be present. So we call them as genetic markers. So these genetic markers are helpful for the selection of organism that has recombinant DNA. So based on these markers like origin of replication, regulatory genes, what we can do is we can select a suitable organism, okay, with a recombinant DNA. A organism with the recombinant DNA selection is helpful by this genetic markers. These will help us to select, that means based on the origin of replication and also on the regulatory gene, this particular organism can be selected, okay. Based on these two factors only, we will select suitable organism for the transfer of this particular desired gene, okay. And the plasmid must have its own origin of replication, regulatory gene for self replication, okay. Obviously it should contain these two genetic markers, okay. And these plasmids will have unique sites, okay. And these unique sites for restriction endonucleases or restriction enzymes is very essential. Why? Because for insertion of the desired DNA fragment or desired gene, here we should cut the fragment of the plasmid. A fragment from the plasmid is separated by the action of restriction endonucleases. First we will treat isolated plasmid from the bacterium with restriction endonucleases. These will help in cutting the plasmid, a fragment of plasmid, to facilitate the insertion of the desired gene, okay. So for this purpose, this plasmid should have unique sites of restriction enzyme activity. So the plasmid should have unique site for the restriction enzymes, okay. And here these plasmids also should not have any pathogenic properties. This is very important. Okay, why? Because if it is a pathogenic plasmid, that means when, say, if whatever the plasmid we have taken consists of a pathogenic characteristic, then what will happen whenever this particular pathogenic plasmid enters into the host cell? Obviously it will infect that host cell. It will take over the mechanism of that particular host cell, and it will cause infection. So to avoid such conditions and to avoid such situations, we should also check this. We should also check this plasmid and whether it is a pathogenic or not. Okay, only non-pathogenic plasmids are selected for the transfer of the desired gene. Okay, and also these plasmids are classified into two types. First one is conjugative plasmids, second one is non-conjugative plasmids. Okay, so let's see about them. So on the basis of conjugative transfer, these plasmids are classified into two categories. Okay, so what are these two categories? Conjugative plasmid and non-conjugative plasmid. If you see about these conjugative plasmids, these are transferred from one bacterium to another bacterium during process of conjugation. Okay, this conjugation process is nothing but a type of reproductive process in the bacteria. So during bacterial reproduction, what happens? This plasmid will be transferred from first bacterium to the second bacterium. So conjugative plasmids are the plasmids which are transferred from one bacterium to other bacterium during process of conjugation, and they contain TRA genes for the conjugative transfer. Okay, so these also contain a specialized gene, that is TRA gene, for transfer of this particular plasmid into the other bacterium during conjugation process. And best example for this conjugative plasmid is F plasmid. So here F plasmid is the best example for conjugative plasmid or conjugative transfer. Okay, and the next one is non-conjugative plasmid. Okay, and this non-conjugative plasmid, this is not transferred from one bacterium to other during conjugation. Okay, so these plasmids does not pass from one bacterium to other bacterium during conjugation. Okay, best example is Col E1 plasmid. Col E1 plasmid is best example. So here if you see the name of this plasmid, it is Col E1. That means it is related to the E. coli bacteria. So that's why it is named as Col E1 plasmid. Okay, so based on the conjugation or conjugative transfer, these plasmids are two types. The plasmids which are
transferred during conjugation are called as conjugative plasmids, and plasmids which are not passed during the conjugation are called as non-conjugative plasmids. Okay, and also based on function of plasmids, these are again classified into five types. They are F plasmids, R plasmids, Col plasmids, degradative plasmids, virulence plasmids. So these are five types of plasmids based on the function. Okay, functions of the plasmids. These are five types. Let's see all those five. On the basis of function, plasmids are classified into five types, and the first one is F plasmid. So this is a best example for conjugative plasmid. Best example for conjugative plasmid. That means these F plasmids will be transferred during the conjugation process. Okay. And here coming to F plasmids, why this particular F plasmid is named as F plasmid? Because this particular plasmid is called as fertility plasmid. Okay, this is called as fertility plasmid, and it will contain genes related to maleness in bacteria. Maleness in bacteria means whenever, if you see bacterial reproduction process while discussing this conjugation, transformation and transduction processes, we'll see two types of bacterial cells, that is plus cell and minus cell. Okay, so here plus cell will represent the male cell, male bacterial cell, and minus cell will represent the female bacterial cell. So the maleness characteristics of the plus bacterial cell is due to the F plasmid. Okay, so this F plasmid or the fertility plasmid will contain genes expressing the maleness in bacteria. So what are the genes? TRA gene, which is responsible for the transfer of plasmid. So here this plasmid will be donated by the bacteria which contain F plasmid. It will donate the plasmid, or the gene of transfer can be transferred to the minus bacterial cell using this particular plus bacterial cell. Okay, and this will contain this F plasmid, and this is transferred to the another bacteria through conjugation process, and the gene responsible for the transformation of the this particular gene of interest is carried by this plus bacteria, and this is the male characteristic. Okay, maleness characteristic shown by bacteria due to presence of F plasmid. Okay, and next one is R plasmid. Okay, let's see this R plasmid, and this R plasmid, it will contain genes for resistance to bacteria against antibiotics and heavy metals. So these are the plasmids which help the bacteria to withstand against the antibiotics and heavy metals. Okay, so few bacteria will be inhibited by different kinds of antibiotics and different types of heavy metals. Okay, So action of antibiotics on bacterial cells we know very well. Okay, but heavy metals also show an adverse effect on the bacteria. Okay, they inhibit bacterial growth. Okay, you can carry a simple experiment for the activity of heavy metals on bacteria growth. How means you can prepare a artificial agar medium for bacterial growth. Okay, normal solid medium, agar medium can be prepared and it is poured onto the plates. Okay, and we can take 2 plates. We'll add bacterial culture to the 2 culture plates. Okay, sorry, to the 2 media plates. Okay, we'll add same culture to both the media plates, and what we'll do is we'll allow it to grow for some time, and after observation of the colonies we can place a metal coin. Okay, we can place a metal coin in the one of the culture plate. Okay, and after one day or couple of days we can see the result. So colonies in the culture plate without metal coin will be very high. Okay, and if you see the metal coin culture plate, around the metal coin there will be no presence of colonies. Okay, colonies will be present in the culture plate, but near to the heavy metal coin there will be no bacterial colonies will be seen. Okay, so by this experiment you can see the activity of heavy metals on bacterial growth. So these antibiotics and heavy metals will inhibit the bacterial growth. So to act against the inhibition of this antibiotics and heavy metals, these bacteria will carry resistance plasmids. Okay, and these resistance plasmids will help the bacteria to fight against the antibiotics and heavy metals. Okay, so resistance plasmids contain genes giving resistance to bacteria against antibiotics and heavy metals. Okay, and here if you see the example, here best example is PSC 101. PSC 101. It gives the organism tetracycline resistance. Okay, due to presence of this resistance plasmid in PSC 101, and this resistance plasmid in PSC 101 shows resistance against tetracycline. Tetracycline is a antibiotic. Okay, so this is how different kinds of plasmids will show resistance towards different types of antibiotics and different kinds of heavy metals. Okay, here by presence of R plasmid in one plasmid, if you take R plasmid, it doesn't show it doesn't act against all antibiotics and all heavy metals. One particular plasmid, R plasmid, will show activity against any of the antibiotic or any of the heavy metal, and it doesn't act on multiple antibiotics or multiple heavy metals. Okay, or it will act on one group of antibiotics. Okay, So in that manner, this R plasmids will show activity against antibiotics and heavy metals. Okay. And the next one is col plasmid. So if you see about these col plasmids, they will code for toxin colcin, okay, and with the presence of this colcin, this particular toxin will help in inhibiting close related strains of bacteria. That means we have different strains of bacteria for each species, okay. If you take Saccharomyces cerevisiae, of course it is a fungi, it has different kinds of strains. In the same manner, E. coli, it is also present in different strains. So here one particular strain will be dominant on another strain. That means if 2 or 3 strains are present near to one another, what will happen? One strain will show dominance and it will grow very rapidly. So to avoid such conditions, these col plasmids which are present in the bacterium will help to release the toxin colcin, okay. And what this toxin colcin will do? It will kill closely related strains of bacteria. So the bacteria with col plasmid will show dominance over other strains of that particular bacteria, okay. So here col plasmids, these kind of plasmids will code for the synthesis of bacterial toxin colcin, which kills other closely related strains of bacteria, okay. And here best examples for this col plasmids are col E1, col B. So these are the 2 types of plasmids, okay. And the next one is degradative plasmid. Degradative plasmid. Here these degradative plasmids will code for enzymes which degrade toxic substances, okay. So few toxic chemicals or toxic substances like toluene, salicylic acid, 2,4-D, xylene. So these kind of chemicals will show activity on bacterial growth. They will inhibit the bacterial growth. They kill the bacteria. So to avoid such conditions by these toxic substances, few bacteria will contain degradative plasmids, okay. So few bacteria will contain degradative plasmids and these are responsible for the enzymes, okay. These degradative plasmid will produce different enzymes and these enzymes will degrade these toxic substances like toluene, xylene, salicylic acid, 2,4-D, okay. So these are the different kinds of toxic substances which inhibit the bacterial growth, and this is inhibited, the activity of these toxic substances is inhibited by enzymes released from degradative plasmid, and these enzymes will degrade these toxic substances. So this is how degradative plasmids will help the bacteria. Okay. So this is about degradative plasmid, and the last type of plasmid due to its function is virulence plasmid. So these virulence plasmids, they provide pathogenicity to bacteria. Best example is PBR 322. Okay, so here this is one type of plasmid which will produce pathogenicity. Of course, while discussing this vectors, what we while discussing this about this plasmids, what we told, pathogenic property should not be present to the plasmids. So whatever the plasmids contain pathogenicity, they are categorized into virulence plasmid, and these will also have few biological functions. Okay, so best example is here PBR 322. Okay, so we have 5 different types of plasmids based on the function. What are they? F plasmids, R plasmids, Cole plasmids, degradative plasmids and virulence plasmids. Okay, so these are the 5 types of plasmids, and based on conjugative transfer, these plasmids are again classified into 2 types: conjugative plasmids and non-conjugative plasmids. Okay, and if you see about these plasmids, so these are small circular double-stranded extra chromosomal DNA molecules present in bacterial cells. Okay, and these are up to 1 to 200 kb in length, and these show very limited number of genes. These will carry very less number of genes. Okay, and if you see the characteristics of these plasmids, size, copy number and genetic markers are the 3 important characters. And if you see copy number, it is nothing but the number of copies of plasmids present in a bacterial cell are mentioned with copy number. Okay, if you see the characteristics here, size is a important characteristic of the plasmid vector, and size will help in 2 ways. First way, it can small size of this plasmid will help the uptake of DNA by host cell very easily, and this small size of plasmid will also facilitate the proper isolation of the plasmid without any damage from the bacterial cell. Okay, and these plasmids should have multiple copy number. Multiple copies should be present in a bacteria. Plasmid must be present in multiple copies. And gene markers means it should contain gene markers like origin of replication, regulatory gene for self-replication purpose. Okay, and this should not contain any pathogenic character. It should not have any pathogenic character. So these are related to this plasmids, one of the important vectors. And in the next class we'll see about example for this plasmid, that is PBR 322. So this PBR 322 is a virulence plasmid. Okay, let's see about this PBR 322 in the next class. Okay, so this is for now. That's it all for now, and if you have any doubts, please contact me. And Please listen to the topic and once read the material provided for you. Thank you, students.